Today on the Managing Creative Studios podcast, I'm joined by Alex Leighton, co-founder, co-owner and creative director of Mukpuddy Animation, one of New Zealand's most beloved and successful animation studios. Alex and his fellow founders, Tim and Ryan, started Mukpuddy over 20 years ago in an Auckland basement with a shared love of cartoons and storytelling. And since then, the studio has grown into a cornerstone of New Zealand's animation industry, producing hit shows like Barefoot Bandits, Jandal Burn, Badjelly the Witch, and Night Eyes. In this episode, we're going to talk about Mukpuddy's early days and that determination that carried them from a scrappy startup into a leading, thriving creative studio. Alex also shares his insights into pitching original content, building a positive studio culture, navigating funding challenges, and creating Kiwi stories that resonate around the world. Welcome to the podcast, Alex.
Thanks, Susan.
I'm glad you could make it here.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about how you, because everyone knows about your basement start. You've talked about your basement start quite a lot. And so I wanted to know about when it was that you got your first office space for Mukpuddy. Timelines are very foggy. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. So it was probably 2005.
2005? So how long have you been going for that?
6 or 7. Oh my God. Yeah, we were going through, we were sort of, me, Tim and Ryan were in the basement for maybe 3 years.
And that was Tim's parents?
Yeah, Tim's parents' basement. It was sort of when we came up with this crazy idea of just making our own stuff for the internet. They had a sort of a basement rumpus room area underneath their house that wasn't being used, and we sort of, I like to think that we asked permission to move it, but that probably didn't happen.
I see.
But so we moved into the city when we got a gig on What Now. We were trying to think of ways to because we were sort of, I guess, intimidated or kind of confused on the process of pitching to New Zealand On Air or getting funding.
Yeah.
Sort of thought, like, why don't we approach established shows and say we can make animated content for them, like, you know, and What Now seemed like the obvious choice for that. And so it took a little while, but we got a foot in the door, and then, we started making a cartoon for them, Sparkle Friends, which was kind of just their presenters within a cartoon that we kind of just had free reign on. Yeah. We wrote it and animated it. But that was sort of 2006, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
And so did you expand, and that's why you sort of needed
No,
to
we stayed the reason we moved was because Tim's parents were moving.
Oh,
so they were moving house and booted us out.
I see.
Yeah. And so it was like, shit, okay, we need to make this work. We want to keep making stuff. We worked a little bit from home, from different people's homes for a few months, but me all the while sort of looking around at cheap spaces. And again, that was a very adult thing for the time. We were sort of 24, 25. Yeah. And didn't really know what we were doing, and found a small space in Freeman's Bay here behind Vic Park Markets. And it was just perfect little spot, and somehow managed to pay rent and give ourselves a little bit of a wage off that gig, which went for a few years while we were sort of doing other little things, music videos and things like that as well. And finding our feet.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. It's funny because people bring up the basement start all the time, and people talk about how Flux started in a basement. People love that sort of underdog story. But I kind of think, like, it's a bit weird because most businesses would start at home, right? Like, the first thing you do when you start a business isn't like, I'm going to lease an office with an ocean view. No, they're always going to start like in a living room or something. Usually in a living room or office, maybe not a basement, because New Zealand doesn't have a lot of basements. Yeah. But basements are more something from American horror films for me.
That's true. Yeah, we say basement, but you're right. It was a rumpus room with a ranch slider out into the garage.
Basement
carport.
Sounds,
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Oh, right. And you were talking about What Now? I'm really interested to know. So you were saying you're too nervous to pitch to networks and things, so you went to What Now. But how do you even know who to go to at What Now? Was LinkedIn around back then, or did you?
No. We so in that period we had so we started with the three of us, and then we met another guy who had a background in New Zealand Kids Telly, some work on What Now and whatever, and he had some connections with Jason Gunn and his wife Janine, who were running Whitebait that made What Now down in Christchurch. So he thought we were making some really fun stuff and we should make some stuff together, and he had an in with What Now.
Right.
So it's networking. So it was kind of networking. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we sort of they really liked our weird little pitch and
But what did your pitch look like? Is it a reel?
I'm trying to remember. No, I think it was just a bunch of drawings. It was sort of pitching. Our pitching hasn't changed too much to now, sort of 24 years later. It's if I remember correctly, it was kind of a 2-pager, like a write-up on what the idea of the show is, with some character images, and was kind of an easy gig in that sense, where I just had to draw cartoon versions of the presenters and then a little bit of the extra info on what the world was that we were building around them.
Yeah. So, and did you all three of you go and present this idea?
No.
Nervously?
No, I think, again, pre-Skype and Zooms and all that, right? Yeah. Like, no, I think, if I'm remembering right, Jeremy, who we were sort of brought in during that period, he flew down and did the pitch for us, and with us. Yeah.
Handy.
Yeah.
So networking is important.
Yeah, it's never not important. I think what we discovered in those early days, again, the naivety of our 20s and just rocking up to places. We flew ourselves. This was again when we were in the rumpus room. We've somehow saved enough money to do a trip to LA. We were like, our dream is to make a show for Cartoon Network. Yeah. Let's go. Surely it's that easy. Just go and talk to the people.
Got to put yourself out there.
And we just sort of knocked on doors, made a few calls and got some meetings, and then every studio had a development department where they're looking for new ideas. So we just rocked up and we were these 3 young Kiwi guys that, with funny accents that they never failed to talk about, and had flown 3 days to get to LA from New Zealand or whatever they think. The naivety of those years was kind of a little bit of a sort of a superpower as well, because we didn't really know. We just wanted to talk and network and make friends, and a lot of these people were people we looked up to in the industry too. So it was like, it would be awesome to meet these people and just shoot the shit and talk about.
You've also got nothing to lose.
We had nothing. Yeah. Literally, if they had said yes to any of our ideas, we had no way to make the thing. Yeah. Because they all thought because we'd come all that way. Oh, these guys must be Pixar in New Zealand. Yeah. We were like, yep, definitely. That's the type of projects we make. But nothing sort of, obviously eventuated from those, from that trip and a few others that we did a few years later. But it was the networking. We're friendly and friends with a lot of those people still to this day. They've moved on. There's a story of, when on that trip, when we had made a friend through our blog, the Muck blog, who worked on a show we really liked at Cartoon Network. He was their head animator. He invited us. We'd put on our blog, we're going to America. Who wants to hang out? Coming to LA. And he said, come into the studio, come into Cartoon Network. I'll show you around. Oh. So. On our tour on the day we went in, there was a guy starting, Shane Prigmore. He was starting on the show that day. An American guy, but he weirdly had just come back from New Zealand. He worked on Two Towers. He was animating Gollum. And he was like, whoa, Kiwis, this is awesome. I've just come from... and we quickly became buddies with him, and cut to our last trip. So he was a character designer on the show. Mm-hmm. And then cut to our last trip, which would have been, 15, 16 years later, when we're in 2019, just before the pandemic, we did a trip to LA to sort of pitch our wares again and stuff. He is now the president of Disney Television.
Whoa.
So we got a very easy meeting with him.
Nice.
And caught up. And, again, it was a weird time for the industry then. Netflix had brought up everybody in LA and everyone was working at Netflix, and now the bubbles burst. But it was like, again, just be mates, be friendly. And we tell students all the time, like, make friends online, make friends in real life. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
You never know where a gig could be or what could lead to a gig. And, it's just all that sort of obvious stuff. But sometimes, when you're sort of 18, 19, 20, it's, and animators as well, very nervous, anxious people sometimes by nature. And so it's just kind of like getting past that a little bit to make some friends.
And you can. I went to Toastmasters for a year and it changed, it changed me a lot.
Yes, yeah. Well, right. For us, it was like I guess I'm sort of like that extrovert introvert thing. Like I come out of my shell when I'm talking about like animation and
things you love,
things I love and my art and stuff. But generally I have to push myself in a social situation to kind of mingle or, but once you're in it, it's kind of okay. And, your nerves settle. But it can just come from practice.
Yeah, practice, certainly.
Yeah.
So in your early days, you managed to score a gig doing a Kapisi music video.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I didn't know you would bring this one up.
Can we play a little bit of that, Jazz?
Yo! The revolution now has just begun! Bring out your jandals, yo! Goes out to all the South Pacific Islands! All South Pacific people! This goes out to each and every one worldwide! Yo! South, all we go is Stomping! Okay, all we go is Stomping! Out in Fiji, we go is Stomping! Stomping with my big islander jandals.
Yes.
There's not enough songs out there about jandals.
No. Honestly, that was... Okay, so yes, it was one of our very first...
I mean, he was big at the time. You must have thought, oh my God, we've done it.
Okay, so I'll tell... It's really... This is kind of an interesting story too, how we got the gig. So... Again, with our early 20s naivety and brashness, we wrangled a table at Armageddon. And this was when Armageddon was at the Aotea Centre.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was sort of, I guess that, there was sort of the tables with local comic artists and things like that, but no one really in the animation space. And we, through a friend of ours who his dad worked at a printing company, we got a hookup and printed massive banners and posters. We had nothing really to show. We had made a couple of shorts for the internet. But again, just like that sort of fake it till you make it type thing, just put all our art massive. We made big heads of some of our characters on foam board and put it above our table and made it, had a TV playing like the few things we had. But Bill, King Kapisi, he's a big comic animation nerd. So he goes
Is that his name?
Bill, yeah, Bill Urali, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So
it's
funny.
probably not his Samoan name, but But he's big animation comics nerd, goes to Armageddon all the time. He just came up to our table and we were like, holy shit, there's King Kapisi. And he was like, you guys do music videos? And we were like, yeah, absolutely. Heaps all the time. And he was like, yeah, what's your email? Let's chat. And he was about to release his new album and he just, really thought, he knew that song was heaps of fun and really would suit animation. And we were stoked. He, managed to wrangle a decent budget out of his record label when that was happening. It was just, that was legitimately, the three of us in the basement in Pakuranga, making that one. So it was a bit nerve-wracking, but he gave us full creative control and we just pitched him an idea and I don't know, it was a really fun learning experience on how to work with a client and work with a fun client that had an open brief and just was keen to make something cool. Yeah.
And you said in the comments on YouTube of that video that you did it in traditional 2D cell animation and then scanned it into Flash and copied it in Flash.
Yeah. So before we kind of understood the capabilities of Flash rigging, 2D rigs, what we were using Flash for was, so we would hand draw and clean up each of those frames and scan them into Photoshop and bring those frames individually into Flash on the timeline and just use it as a color,
right?
Like a ink and fill type situation, paint and fill. So it was very painstaking. I mean, it was still very, pretty limited, in the style we wanted to, our heroes were, the guys that made Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab. So it was very flat, stylized stuff.
You were always sort of moving into that area. You were never sort of wanting to go traditional 2D cell animation.
No.
That's what you trained in, right?
Yeah, that's what we trained in. Yep, all three of us trained in the old traditional hand-drawn, flipping on paper. Freelance animation school. And the Warner Brothers Disney style. But while we were studying, we at the end of the 90s, the Cartoon Network stuff was really big.
Did they teach you Flash at
No,
freelance?
no,
Really?
no. That was Tim is basically our IT guy at the time, and still is in a lot of ways now. But he grew up around computers and caught a whiff of Flash being used by animators, and we started using it that way, as I explained for that video. But then moved into creating rigs in the software and sort of evolving how we used it.
Yeah. I was at the Motion Designers Guild drinks the other night, and I had a student come up to me and ask me if they could get a job in cell animation in New Zealand. And I said, I don't think so.
No.
I don't want to put that person off, but I don't know. It's not really here.
Yeah, I know a lot of so we've had a few people come and go from the studio that are now doing a lot of anime stuff remotely. So that would be sort of more in line with your traditional hand-drawn stuff. I can't think of any projects kind of getting it's definitely kind of, I mean, we still have that skill set in the base of all our animators. We make sure they know the fundamentals of animation, of the Disney way, of the squash and stretch and volume, and a lot of the stuff we make is very cartoony, so we want to really push that stuff. And if our effects animation team is all mostly hand-drawn effects, so it's still kind of in the mix a lot. Yeah.
But if you want to be if you're a traditionalist,
it's tricky.
It's probably not. You might have to move.
I mean, shit. Even Footrot Flats was animated in bloody Aussie, so.
Oh, really?
And that's sort of the old school.
That's
we didn't have the industry here, right? A lot of the animation was done in Aussie.
That's sad.
It's a bummer that project didn't sort of birth more of an industry here. It's a real sort of shortcoming and short-sightedness of not latching onto that opportunity, I think.
To make something so purely Kiwi.
Yeah, right.
Not in New Zealand.
Yeah.
That's pretty awful.
Yeah. It's, But I mean, there's a lot of, 2D hand-drawn stuff still getting made. Ireland has a pretty strong industry now. Cartoon Saloon, doing a lot of 2D. Well, even then, a lot of those are rigs still. So I don't know. Yeah,
but then I don't know how people are paying for it, because I wanted to go into animation when I first started out. I really, really loved children's animation. I still really, really love children's animation, but I started out in an animation company, and I was doing After Effects and editing and just anything they needed me to do. But I had friends who were animating, and they were getting paid by the frame. And some of them were older than me, and I was making more than them. And I thought, fuck, I don't want to do that. I'm done. And I just never looked into it. And I should have probably, put that aside. But it looked hard.
When we were starting out, particularly in our early days, again, basement days, we had friends working on Brotown, things like that, and hearing the horror stories and hearing how they had to. So we were making no money as well, but we had a little side hustle. Ryan was working at a video store, I was working at a bar and what have you. But they were working full-time on Brotown and had supermarket jobs as well.
Right,
and it just, it sounded criminal to us. Like, surely there's a better way to do it. So when we expanded when we made the Barefoot Bandits to, I think we were 16, team of 16 at that time. We sort of planned it like it wasn't amazing money, but we're going to do it in a way that everyone gets a weekly wage.
Yeah.
And there's a certain amount required. You can do that any which way. You know, if you need days off, if you've got like be flexible in that, because we can't pay you crazy money. But we wanted it to be more stable than those stories, because to me that's just bullshit. I'd heard stories of someone over animating scenes in Brotown. It's too well animated. Redo it. Yeah. Like, fuck off.
It's ridiculous.
Like, it's just not. It's what a waste of time.
Yeah.
You know, for everyone. You know.
I mean, yeah, one of my mates wasn't making minimum wage, and it's you're working well over 40 hours and you're not making minimum wage. I mean, that's just bullshit. You're treating people like they're bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
So.
Someone was making a lot of money off that show because people above them were driving really fancy cars. So, you know, again, knowing that, I was like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to. We want to create a culture within the studio where they're able to express themselves with their talents. But also we're all working together to make something cool and fun and meaningful. It's just, there's a better way to do it, I think. It's tough, but yeah.
So how long was it just the three of you, and then when did you hire your first staff
So
member?
13 years.
13 years, it was just the three of you?
Yeah, wow. So we spent quite a few years at that small space behind Vic Park Markets. And that was the era of, the What Now stuff, which included a few different little shows and music videos. We were doing kids' book illustration, comics, all sorts of, there's the odd graphic design thing that came through. We would just kind of say yes to anything.
Yeah.
And then, we did a few trips to the States. And on one trip to the States, because the dream was, let's get a show on Cartoon Network. And we talked to people there and they were like, we want to be doing what you're doing. Don't come here. They were like, it's corporate hell. Don't, like, you guys are living the dream. We were like, okay. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe we go back to, so we sort of recalibrated and we sort of thought to ourselves, let's try and get some stuff through the door at TVNZ. Let's see what movement we can make locally and really try to get some stuff through the funding bodies here. Like, how does it work? Who can we talk to? So we came back and we had an idea for a New Zealand Christmas special. And we sort of thought, well, every other country has, Snoopy's Christmas and, England has the snowman and, we wanted to make something iconic. And we pitched it we got him in with the Kids Commissioner at TVNZ and she really liked the idea. And that turned into Missing Christmas, which became ultimately when we were creating that, and especially after we made it, we were like, this is a show. We could, this little made up island off the coast of New Zealand. I feel like we felt like there was something bigger there that could be a series. So we made that Christmas special, and we sort of thought, we said to the funding bodies, it's a series, right? Like, you can see that, the possibilities, and they weren't keen initially. They were like, nah. So it took a couple of years to actually get the series funded, but in 2016, I think, we got the Barefoot Bandits, and that was a 10-episode first season run, 22-minute episodes.
Yeah. And
that quickly sort of was like, okay, how many people do we need to make this? If we make it in Flash, we have an After Effects guy, like a dude that's good at After Effects. We can like really up the cinematic feel to things. And we just put the call out on social media. We had a couple of guys floating around that had kind of done a little bit of freelance when we needed help. So they got brought in. Quickly we had 2 storyboarders, I think a team of 6 animators. We were writing it, and Alex and the comp team, and so it was a small team, but expanding to more than the three of us was a little bit scary to start with because we were control freaks. We are control freaks. Yeah. That was the fear, like, can we let go of the reins? But once we got started and we saw that we had hired everyone we hired had experience in the software, we had nothing to worry about, we hit the ground running, and we just this sense of calm came over, well, us firstly, but the team, and we were all having fun making this thing. We had sort of lots of celebrities coming in and out of the studio to do voices, and it was just really, really cool. And we really, loved that experience. It was hard, but we just that fear of expanding and learning to trust your team was a real important one. Like, it's like, we don't have to do everything now. Like, that's part of this process. Like, collaborate. Like,
there's a lot of HR involved when you start to get staff as well. Usually. But yes, there is. You got to look out for people. We didn't hire anyone in those roles. So it was, that sort of stuff was still on it. We sort of found a new, part of our job description was, checking in, making sure everyone was okay. And also writing the contracts and things like that.
Yeah, that was tricky, man. I can't even remember who helped us with that. God, yeah.
There were contracts though.
Yes, there was contracts, absolutely. But we're very, it's been a real, long learning curve for us around that side of things because our brains just don't get that automatically. Now, thankfully, we have a few people working for us, and a really good team of our accountants are really helpful around that stuff. And we're really lucky that a lot of that pressure that was there in the early days of the contracting of all that, budgets and all that stuff. It's kind of there's a real more of a team effort on it, and we get our brains freed up a little bit more now.
And then, how difficult is it when you have to shrink the company after a show's finished?
Yeah, tough. We only had to do it in a big way after Badjelly, so last year. Yeah. Prior to that, we sort of made it our mission to, and it was it's sort of to the detriment of our mental health, and a lot of times was trying to keep everyone employed, keep everyone in work, make sure this was steady. That was our vision now, we're job providers now in an industry where there's not a lot out there, and particularly in New Zealand. But the landscape is a bit grim from time to time. So it was really tough, and because of the culture we created at the studio, it just felt like family. We've gone through some loss. We had on that trip to America in 2019, we had one of our beloved animators, young fella, but he had a lot of experience and a lot of talent. He killed himself.
Oh, geez.
While we were in America, and so we got the news when we were over there, and it was tough. But the experience brought us together as a team and as leaders of the business, and we sort of learnt how to navigate something so difficult. But it really just and make sure everyone's mental health was how everyone was doing. Again, we did that along the way, but we learnt new tools on how to navigate that stuff. So it meant we were a tighter group, and therefore letting people go or downsizing becomes trickier. But we have to draw a line in the sand where, if we don't do the business side of things right, then there won't be any business here when things pick up again. Yeah. So it's and we're still learning every day on how to better do that. But there's been some experiences like that, and various others that have sort of helped us along the way, I guess, in a lot of ways.
I mean, I have a very good friend who works for you, who I used to work with and live with, and I met my husband through him even. So we're very close, and I asked him what the best thing about working at Mukpuddy is, and he said the people. Bless his little cotton socks. But how do you go about making an environment where people get along so well?
Well, I'll tell you what, like when people talk about trickle-down economics and the whole idea being just hot air, it's bullshit. Where trickle-down works is kindness, you know? Yeah. And I think me, Tim and Ryan having such a solid friendship over the years, we've never fought. We've had disagreements from time to time and things get shaky. We each have had our mental health issues over the years, but being the three of us, when one is sort of struggling, the other two can pick up the reins or let someone have some time out or check in. And, you know, I think the success of that culture, I think, is a success of our friendship too, because I guess because we always have an open door policy with the crew, come to us for anything, problem solving within your scene, personal stuff if you need time off, like whatever it is, we'll be super understanding because we've been through it all ourselves. But I guess maybe the crew seeing that and seeing how steady we are and also how shaky we can be, and we make mistakes but we say it out loud, and being quite transparent in that way. I guess that creates a safe space, hopefully, to again, animation is quite a stressful art form. A safe space to be stressed out and to but also, have fun and make some cool shit together. Yeah.
What's the hardest part about managing staff?
I guess making sure the next gig's coming in so they can get paid, you know, like that can be a very stressful thing when you're coming to the end of a gig, end of a show, and you're like, what's the next thing lined up, you know, and sometimes there's a beautiful little overlap where you don't have to worry about anything, and other times there can be a week or a month or 2 months where it gets a bit scarier. But I mean, the easy answer is just making sure the work's there. And
do you guys close down over Christmas?
We do. We used to we used to be able to give the crew 3 weeks, but now because things are so busy, it's a 2-week break at Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
And so is everyone on fixed term contracts, or do you have some permanent staff members?
Everyone's a contractor. We have a few of the sort of key crew are sort of permanent, so to speak. But it's sort of now we're a little smarter with that stuff instead of letting things sort of slide out and. You know, we'll just, the next gig will come in and, you know, now we're in a space where we have people that can help us with all that contracting stuff, and we keep it a bit more rigid to the gig. Yeah. But again, some of the heads of our departments stay on as our skeleton crew when we sort of downsize. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, if I have an amazing idea, if I have like the next Blue's Clues or something, how do I get that from my head onto the TV?
I mean, there's various ways. You know, locally you can, if you're coming to us with background in animation or illustration or story writing or script writing or whatever, the first step is getting it out onto paper, into your laptop, into a document. You know, can you create some art to accompany that? Either by yourself or hiring an illustrator to help you visualize things. Don't use AI. And I think then it could be a case of coming to a studio like us that has a relationship with funding bodies within New Zealand, where we could help you, guide you, or work with you. You know, it's a tricky thing. There's only a couple of funding rounds a year for sort of animation and kids content, so it's strategic.
So what are you doing when you're, pitching your own things? What are you putting together, and how does that work?
Well, basically, it kind of starts with us just verbally pitching stuff. Then I'll probably go away and do some drawings, do some character design. Ryan will write up a document where we're sort of just getting ideas out of gag. It can be as small as like little gag ideas, full episode ideas. That then turns into sort of a pitch document, which is kind of it can be in various. It can look various ways, but we like to make them look pretty with sort of, artwork in the background and text on top and, describing the overall idea of the show, if it's a show or a film. And if it is a show, then you probably want some episode ideas and then character, So it's a document that can vary in size.
Yeah.
Our pitch document for Badjelly was 30 plus pages, but a pitch doc for something sort of short form like Night Eyes was sort of 15 pages, something like that, 10 to 15 pages with some art.
Are you needing to put any figures and numbers in there, or is that not really your job to do? That's
initially you don't kind of need to. And again, it depends on where you're pitching, who you're pitching. Like within New Zealand, if it's to New Zealand On Air, there'll be an initial stage of sort of pitching to a broadcaster, which doesn't need a budget. You're just getting the idea across to get them on board. But then there is a stage where it's like, well, how much does this cost? Like, can you, how long is it going to take? And then you sort of budget it out. But if you're going,
do they come back to you before they've said yes to you and say, give us more information and then we'll say yes? Or do they say yes, now give us the information?
Yeah, so it depends on whether...
making you work for it?
Yeah, a little bit. Like it depends on whether you're sort of pitching to... if you need... So it's all very... it can be kind of complicated because there's some funding rounds where you need a broadcaster on board. So you've got to go to them first to get them interested and get them on the hook. Then you go to New Zealand On Air and go, we've got TVNZ, this is the idea, they're keen. Can you guys fund this? This is how much it costs. So it's usually with the broadcast, like that's when we
That's interesting, because when I was saying I don't actually know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so it's TVNZ that you're going to, and then you go to New Zealand On Air for the funding once they've said yes.
Yes, but it's evolving all the time. Now New Zealand On Air, there was a period where there was a few years ago when we birthed Jandal Burn drawing show, and I guess Night Eyes as well. There was this platform called Hey, which New Zealand On Air created as sort of it was a very ambitious idea at the time, and cool and very much needed, like a Kiwi-made platform for Kiwi kids showcasing locally made stuff like live action animation, and we could pitch straight to New Zealand On Air.
Right.
And that made things a lot easier. Because they're the funding body, we can have those direct conversations. Broadcasters can get it gets a bit complicated with them. Like, we're not looking for stuff like that, or we don't want to, right now they're in a space of not really backing a lot of kids stuff, which makes it tough for us, So, trends change, people change at these places, so you got to start over and reintroduce yourself like you've never made anything.
Right. Yeah.
So it's and again, and then there's also the pitch to go to the States, get a meeting with Amazon, Netflix, Apple, talk to their development team. This is the idea.
Have to go to the States anymore?
No, not through the COVID era, like with the lockdowns and stuff. We had a few various meetings with those streamers via Zoom. Mm-hmm. But what we did find in that last trip in 2019 was how beneficial it was to be in the room,
right,
and be able to sort of. I think there is something in the face-to-face, particularly when you're trying to get an idea across, and it's not always necessary,
you would think with our New Zealand dollar being so low that people would be coming and wanting to do a lot of productions here.
Mm-hmm.
Are you just not finding that?
Well, in our industry, I guess one of the challenges has been because of the lack of support given to, let's say, 2D animation in the kids space. there hasn't been a lot of work to showcase what we're capable of down here that's gone international. And then now, when they have supported something like, and we're amazingly grateful for all the support New Zealand Air have given us over the years, but then there's that, it's changing now, but there's the whole thing where we had to have a project look and feel and sound Kiwi, so Kiwi in fact that it's hard to sell overseas.
Yeah, I actually had a question about that, whether the Kiwi nature of the humour was a good or a bad thing. Because, obviously Flight of the Conchords and Taika Waititi and everyone, it's getting more well-known, this Kiwi style of humour. So is it becoming an easier thing?
It's definitely, over the years, those are the conversations, when you step into, Netflix and they're like, oh, New Zealanders, we love Taika, we love, we love Rhys Darby. Oh, you like Rhys? Well, he's in this show we made. Those conversations are always happening because our sense of humour does travel well and does travel in good circles, but often those money people in the past, they say they are into sort of, funding something that feels and looks Kiwi, but then they get a bit scared because accents in America, they don't. Yeah. Yeah. They're weird with British accent. It's a risk. But for us, we again, coming up, we just wanted to make SpongeBob. We wanted to make the new SpongeBob. When we made the Barefoot Bandits, and, I think it happens to a lot of Kiwis, there was sort of a cultural cringe around, our accent and, things like that. But then that getting softened through the likes of the Conchords and Taika's stuff and that. Yeah. And then when we really got into the Barefoot Bandits and making that and finding the love of the uniqueness of not only how we sound, but the way New Zealand looks, the way the bush looks, how we can design that and draw that in a fun way. I think that made the show, for us, it felt like, well, this is super unique. It feels like that could be like the thing that makes it pop overseas. We tried to sell it to the States through a distributor that was trying to help us, and the Americans wanted to redub it into with American accents. Yeah. And we were like, the first shot of the opening titles is New Zealand. Why would this little island off the coast of New Zealand be filled with Americans? We had Rhys and we had Josh Thompson, Tammy Davis, Laura Daniels. And Rhys is Rhys and everything. So we were like, no, let's fuck off. No. Yeah. But it has been tricky. The thing that's kind of interesting in the last few years is the popularity of Bluey. So those guys stuck to their guns when Disney came knocking and said, we want the show, but we want to redub it. They were like, nah, you don't get it then. Right. And then so Disney eventually caved, took it, and it's the most streamed show in America.
Yeah, why does it have to be an American accent? I just don't understand.
There is a weirdness there, and making Badjelly with so many Brits, and we got a good mix of British voice talent and Kiwi voice talent in that project, and there's a real shared sensibility there of like them. Some of the animation was done in Canada too. So dealing with our UK co-production partners and our Canadian co-production partners, those parts of the world are very open to, international content and, the history of British comedy and, how well it's traveled and, so... Yeah, America's just very insular. They've had their own industry bubble for forever, and it's very hard to penetrate.
Not as open-minded.
Yeah.
Because a lot of your shows, you have a lot of New Zealand comedians and actors and things, but this Badjelly, you've got a lot of international actors. We've got a little clip of Badjelly the Witch.
I need those children, Dalboot.
I need them boiling in a pot.
I need their screams to fill the air as my powers restore.
Oh, and I need some bread.
Soup's nothing without a little bread on the side.
So, that's Miriam Margolyes. Is that how you say her name?
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you go about getting her? We all know and love her from Harry Potter, of course.
Yes.
And everyone's seen her on the Graham Norton show saying some crass things that you wouldn't expect a lovely little old lady to say.
Yeah.
So how do you go about getting her on the show?
Well, in the initial pitch deck, which, this ties into the sort of that conversation a little bit, we sort of just had a couple of pages of our wish list. You know, we knew that we had a decent budget on this project, and bringing in British comedians or voice talent was sort of the way we wanted to go with some of the characters. So for Badjelly herself, we had a few people on the list, Dawn French and Joanna Lumley, and, and it's just a matter of like, just shoot for the stars. Like, let's just see what, and we had a UK producer, and whoever we suggested, she was able to just go to their agent and put it out to them. And Ryan had, I think it might have been just on TikTok scrolling, and the Graham Norton clips come up.
Yeah.
And he saw this one clip of Miriam, and she sort of was going off and, really got into some really wicked, telling some story, some dirty story. And he was like, what do you guys think of that? Like, check this out. I reckon she could be Badjelly. And we were like, oh, yeah, that's a good call. Like, sweet, let's just put it out there. And, we just put it out to her agent. And then she just said, it was just a matter of her saying, I'm interested. So she expressed some interest, and that helped us with the pitch. We've got Miriam interested in the gig if we can, get all the financing together. So that was sort of very early on. But it was kind of just, reach out to the agents. You can find who's
Where do you find agents?
Just, you Google. UK. There's a few big ones in the UK. Karis, our UK producer, she sort of had all the connections. She was like, okay, who's James Acaster with? Oh, okay, cool. It's with this company. I'll reach out to them, and and there was only a couple of people that kind of turned it down or couldn't make it work. But we were very, very lucky. Most people we kind of wanted came on board.
Yeah.
When we first got the rights to Badjelly, like years before we got any of the money for the show, Rhys got in touch immediately and was like, I'm Binklebonk, right? Like, we were like, yeah, man, shit, if you want to be, like, that'd be awesome. And then that sort of informed how we were going to write that character.
Because I've watched the whole thing, and it plays, like a to be continued for each episode. So there's no
Very
new
cliffhangery.
adventure every day, which I really liked.
Awesome.
It was.
Well, there's a big sort of shift in kids stuff. I guess particularly in the Netflix of it all, like the serialized, like it's a bigger story, cut up. The Stranger Things of it all. Wednesday, things like that kids are really gobbling up at the moment. And it's we knew, because initially we figured it made sense to make Badjelly a film, and then when we sort of thought about it, well, we can get more bang for our buck if we sort of turn it into a series, and then this first season could cover the adventure of the kids getting Lucy back, and we just sort of figure out, expand where we need to, and just make it that one big arc.
I think it's nicer to have it longer rather than compressed, because I hadn't read or listened to the book before. So I went and found the audiobook and I listened to it. And condensing all of that crazy down into 20 minutes is just a wild ride. Like, that is a drug-fueled kids adventure. It's just... Yeah,
it's all in there.
There's so many questions.
Yeah, right. So when we first had the idea, we obviously went straight to the audio. And there's someone had uploaded it to YouTube at the time, and we went on, had a listen. It's only like 20 minutes, 21 minutes. And we sort of thought, okay, whatever we do, we have to expand on this. And because it's got those, it's a little Wizard of Oz, it's a little, fairy tale, witchy stuff, it's got, it's definitely got its influences. Because he just Spike was telling the story, stream of consciousness, to his daughters at night. Right. And then he decided to record it and then transcribe it. So the audio came first.
Right, yeah.
And so it does read and sound very stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
And there was only a couple of things we took out of it. There was a few sort of mildly racist kind of weird things, and, God saving the day and ending Badjelly. We were like, well, it's got to be the kids. It's the kids' adventure. They've got to be involved in her downfall and defeating the big bad. So there was little nuggets there that we were like, well, this is going to be easy to expand if we sort of bring the gang along with them instead of the kids just having moments with Bingle Bonk and Mudwiggle. Bring them along for the ride. Badgelly's affected all their lives. They're all in it.
But all the key moments are there. There's the sausage on the hat.
We made sure we stuck to a lot of the design elements from the book, some of the dialogue and the spells, and Bingle Bonk's spell is like the one that everyone sort of brought up, don't leave that out. And weirdly, there was a moment where, so again, it took us a little while to figure out that, it was super fun to do, but expanding on all the elements, making sure we gave Tim and Rose a really realistic and grounded relationship where there's a bit of push and pull and real sibling sort of love, but all the other stuff in there. But it was, I guess you start with, we were sort of starting with, Badjelly's arc and the kids' arc, and we had that all sort of figured out, and then meeting their friends along the way. And then a bunch of people kept saying, is Fluffy Bum going to be in it? Mm-hmm. And we were like, Fluffy Bum, the cat, it's mentioned in one sentence at the front of the
I don't
book.
even remember Fluffy Bum.
Yeah, well, yeah. Neither. We were like, is that really important? And then we started to think. It made us think, like, it's kind of interesting when, it's kind of like, well, let's just think about it for a sec. Like, the kids, one of the things we hate about these sort of stories in the past is, like, when a kid, like Harry Potter or whatever, kid goes off to this magical place and has lots of fun and adventure. If the home life is shit and not fun, why do you want them to go back? You don't want them to go back home.
Yeah.
Like, so we wanted to, it was really important, that made us sort of think how important it was to make the parents cool.
Yeah.
The parents they love their kids. They definitely would go looking for their missing children. And that could be an easy way to bring Fluffy Bum along for the adventure.
Right, yeah.
So we expanded on Fluffy Bum's role going along with Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
So, and that was really fun because that role got expanded, we got to work with Kyle and Catherine, who voice Flo and Leo, and they were awesome and fun to work with. And it was a cool little like problem to solve, know.
And who's making all the jokes?
It's kind of all of us, to be honest. Like there's Ryan is our head writer, so he's really accomplished comedy writer now. But we all, me, Tim and Ryan, especially just us as a collective, we love comedy. We grew up with a love, not only a love of animation, but of, comedy. And so once a script gets written, each of us will read it individually and make little notes, little joke punch-ups. This could, make little suggestions, and that could even just be in the room together when we're brainstorming before the writing. But, a lot of the jokes come from any one of us when we're sort of doing a little pass on the script. And then there's also the ability, because we give the actors freedom in the voice booth and we hire a lot of comedians, it's like, just, okay, do a read on that's the script, do that a couple times through, now just have some fun. Like, do whatever, you got someone like Rhys, Darby, who is just an ad-libbing machine. Yeah. So you just you get a totally different thing that was on the page. So again, that's another element of it as well. Yeah.
I almost wonder if adults will like some of the shows more than kids would in some ways.
Honestly, we just make it for ourselves. Yeah. Like everything. Like we're kind of just fulfilling our dreams of making our own stuff. And we're kind of, I guess, lucky in that our sensibilities, like a lot of people over the years are like, why don't you make something adult? Do you want to make something like Rick and Morty? And it's like, I think it's in us maybe, but it's not our Goldilocks zone. Yeah. We grew up with a love of Disney and then, the Cartoon Network stuff, Nickelodeon, and, and Pixar sort of come along as well. There's, that, and we've just found ourselves with, I guess, that Pixar model of like, make for adults with kids in mind. So, we push the line sometimes, like Night Eyes, it's a horror comedy. We really lean into like,
but there's like, it reminded me a lot of like Goosebumps and stuff.
Oh for sure.
I loved Goosebumps when I was a kid, and like Paul Jennings, really weird stuff. I remember in a Paul Jennings book, some kid put his fingers under a lawnmower and got them chopped off and things. And I was just so into that stuff.
Well,
So
this is the thing as well. Like, there's this whole new, a lot of the executives over and producers, TV producers, people in the industry that are sort of like, oh, kids are watching spooky stuff, like Stranger Things. Like 8-year-olds are watching it and they shouldn't be, but that's a big part of their audience. So kids are into spooky stuff. What spooky stuff have you got? And it's like, we've always been into spooky. Like in the 80s, we were watching The Labyrinth and Neverending Story.
Yeah.
That shit gave me nightmares.
Yeah.
Like Spielberg stuff, like Close Encounters and E.T. and Jaws. That all petrified me.
Yeah.
We
loved it.
But I loved that it sparked. Like I was like, there's some parents that turn shit off immediately when it scares their kid, and the kid doesn't then get to see the resolution of the hero beating the big bad.
Yeah.
And I'm a big proponent of like, let it ride out, explain that the hero's journey of it all, like things will work out. But the scariest stuff really did spark my imagination as a kid. And the same with Tim and Ryan, and that's sort of a big part of where our friendship started, was our love of those sorts of films and stuff.
And Night Eyes always ends well. So
yeah.
It's always a happy ending.
Yeah, well, it is a comedy too, So we love the ability to lean into more spooky stuff because it lets us sort of flex our like spooky music.
Yeah.
Like how far can we push it, or and me with my design work in the show, like, okay, I'm gonna do. I've got an idea for this character. I'm gonna make him creepy as hell, like. But then within the, you got Rhys Mathewson and Scotty Cotter and Donna Brooke Banks and that, like voicing these sort of goofy characters within that world. It's definitely lightens it, and so it's all part of the fun of it. Like,
Yeah, I think Night Eyes is probably my favourite of all of them.
Oh, cool.
Shows.
Oh, thanks.
I did watch a lot of Jandal Burn though.
We love Jandal Burn.
I have a love-hate relationship with the Jandal Burn credits.
Oh, okay.
Do we have a clip of the Jandal Burn credits?
Oh, God. Okay.
Credits, everybody's credit. Have you taken a minute to read all of the credits? Credits. Everybody, that's the credits. You.
I loved that for the first 3 times or something.
Yep.
And then now it's like in that little girl in the Pixar movie Inside Out, where she's got that toothpaste commercial that just comes into her head all the time. I'll just be boiling the jug and I'll be like, credits, everybody's credits. It's
so
so
this is
annoying.
the first time we've heard that, because you make it once and you're like, you don't think about that, but that is amazing. But also, I'm really sorry. It's
with me forever now.
Those kind of came out of like that was because that's Ryan.
Oh.
So he can he's secret his secret party skill is beatboxing. So he can muck around doing that stuff in the voice booth. We were kind of like, what the hell should the opening titles be and the credits? And he was just mucking around in the voice booth, I think, and then we were like, let's just do that.
It's really good.
And it just sort of fit with how silly the show is as well. So
it's really good. Another thing I wanted to ask is that whenever I watch a lot of behind the scenes stuff, when I watch behind the scenes stuff, there's always walls filled with paper, whether it's character designs or whether it's storyboards, and there's people standing around going and pointing at things and stuff. Do you do a lot of printouts? Are the things stuck all over your walls, or do you have screens on the walls?
No, we're surrounded by screens for sure. But
is that an old school thing, sticking everything to the wall?
I think it's a little bit old school. I mean, we definitely again, back to the culture of the place and allowing everyone to sort of make their own their desk and their space their own. We're like, just bring in toys, bring in posters, whatever you want that makes you feel creative and gets the juices flowing, do it. So we do have artwork around in that, but there's more toys than art on the walls, I think. But I think it's a bit of an old school thing. Yeah, everything's so digital. Well, we're kind of paperless now, you know, like we're just on iPads and Cintiqs.
We don't need to kill any trees.
Yeah, I mean, now and again I'll for the old school flavour of it, I'll go up to Life Drawing and I'm like, no iPad, graphite on paper, and it's really fun. I love that too. But almost all my drawings are digital now.
Yeah. And in terms of storytelling, what in your mind makes a good story, aside from a beginning, middle, and an end?
Yeah, what makes a good story? I guess, well, there's things along, we love, again, good comedy, so that's where a lot of our stuff leans. I think the easiest answer to that is characters the audience give a shit about.
Yeah.
They've got to be invested, like Badjelly. We want to make the kids' relationship, Tim and Rose's relationship, feel really strained in a realistic way, so we can create some tension and that can add to the comedy along the way, but also means that there's room for healing. And then the audience, if we've done our job right, will be stoked when that happens. So I think it's important to have sort of relatable, grounded characters in a way. Like, kind of depends on the concept too. Like Jandal Burn's super silly, but the friendship between Kev and Puku was what we really leant into, and how in love they are with each other. They're just so into each other. They're best mates, and that leads to the comedy, but also when there's a sort of a split in the friendship or whatever, So I think it's heart and
And do you know something's going to be good before you put it out, or do you just push it out into the world and cross your fingers and hope for the best?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, we at times we sort of like, are we in a bubble? Like, are we making shit that no one cares about? Like, you get very much in your own little vacuum at the studio when you're making stuff, and then it just, especially in an art form where it's like you don't touch the art, and then it just goes out onto other people's screens, and you're like hoping that finds them. Like, we love what we do. So every project, we've been really lucky in creating our own stuff that we've felt like the new, we're only as good as our next project or the next episode. So we're always pushing, and we love what we do. And I think I mean, we had an experience on the 48 Hours one year when, years and years ago, when it was the three of us. We had this big ambitious idea before going into the weekend of doing it. It's like, we won't do music. We won't use any music. It'll just be atmospheric, sound effects and just the vocal performance of the characters. And we'd animated the whole thing. We wrote it, storyboarded it, animated the whole thing. Sunday morning, so Sunday night you got to deliver, hand it in. Sunday morning we watched it through and we were like, this is shit. This doesn't work. Shit, it needs music. It needs music to sell the vibes, because there was a sort of an adventure story happening and a friendship that sort of split apart, and then a villain involved. And so we quickly jumped on to got some free production music, and we're like, okay, we need that vibe and that vibe. So we knew in that moment it was like, we don't want to hand this in. Like, I even remember turning to the guys and going, I don't even want to hand this in. This sucks.
Oh.
And so we had this moment of freak out. But we quickly put in a bunch of music, and it turned out sweet. We're really stoked with it. So, because we sort of put everything into every project, and we try and give it just the amount of polish that our experience allows, and the time allows, and the budget allows. We always think,
It's more about whether you love it.
Yeah, we always love what we're putting out there. If it's our own, service gigs are another thing. But if it's our own project, we love them all. Yeah.
Now, the animation industry at the moment, I've seen a lot of people complaining about how people are going back to their sort of generic styles and not pushing the boundaries, particularly with Pixar and Disney and stuff. And then, using examples like
sequels.
Mitchell's vs. the Machines and Spider-Verse and, that sort of thing, and saying that, people can, push things a little bit further. Are you ever feeling like you want to push the boundaries with style, or is it kind of like you're locked into a style now, especially because there's a lot of constraints and you've got those library settings and stuff?
Yeah,
that's
difficult.
I mean,
it is difficult. I mean, a lot of those projects, they're allowed a ginormous budget and time to develop new software or new ways of designing and whatever, you know, like
They have to think about the most cost efficient ways to do
yeah,
things.
it's kind of that's yeah they've got all the tools and you know in the bucket. So it's for us there's always been a fairly small budget, tight turnaround. When it came to Badjelly and it being the biggest and most expensive thing we've ever made, there was time up front where we were able to develop something that looked a little different from our studio style, because I just kind of designed everything prior to that. We were able to hire other designers and I was in the mix with other people, which was really nice because we could like work together and come up with different ideas for various characters and what have you. So it's sort of slightly different, but yeah. we love CG, we love stop motion, like absolutely love stop motion as well. But so there's a lot of influences and inspirations there. We're never sort of closed off to making something looking new and different. And love pushing animation and love seeing those projects that come out, like the CG projects that, oh shit, this doesn't look like a Pixar film. This is awesome, like Spider-Verse and Mitchells versus Machines. It was we're definitely open to that, but it's it's sort of a time and money thing too. You know?
And I mean, I have a favourite character designer that I've always had, which is Chris Sanders.
Oh yeah, love Chris.
Yeah. And that's because you have people like, is it Richard Williams, Roger Rabbit, that does the Jessica Rabbit with the big boobs and the tiny waist and the big ass, and then the stereotypical curves. Whereas Chris Sanders draws women that are beautiful and have curves, but they're
chunkier,
in very different ways.
Yeah.
So like the main character of the Croods, she's got like large broad shoulders and then goes down to tiny little feet, and then you've got the Lilo and Stitch, the older sister, she's got quite small shoulders and much more curvaceous legs and things, like still curves but in a way that you don't stereotypically expect, I suppose. So do you have any sort of favourite character designs, whether that be yours or whether that's elsewhere?
It would be hard to pick one of mine. I just kind of go into a flow state. I don't know. But my favourite designers, there's many. But I guess Craig McCracken, who created the Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and Kid Cosmic on Netflix is a really and Gendy Tartakovsky, who created Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack and Primal, that new show of his. A lot of my influences are sort of in that flat. Hanna-Barbera, like is kind of, looking at Bill Watterson, who created Calvin and Hobbes. He was a huge influence on me when I was sort of 12 and 13, like just looking at these amazing ink drawings and watercolors. And, I guess, if I had to pick a couple, it would be, the Gendy and Craig McCracken.
And I was watching a YouTube video on schoolism the other day.
Oh, cool.
And a guy was talking about character design, and he was saying that it's really good to say what you're trying to design in words, like out loud, so that you can formulate things, because otherwise, you could be trying forever to try and, once you say it out loud or once you use your words, it helps you actually turn it into something. So do you have any sort of character design? Because you are the character designer, aren't you?
That's sort of been my sort of main job description, I guess, over the years. It's a tricky thing. Sometimes designs can come very quickly. Like it's the first drawing, like it pops, like, whoa, okay, this is the guy. Other times it can take 30, 40, 50 drawings to land on something that I know feels and looks right. And sometimes I'll show the guys straight away and be like, what do you think of this? And other times I'll wait until I get to that 30, 40, 50th drawing and show the guys and go, this is where I'm thinking this design could go. I tend to feel like over the years it feels, to me, it feels a little bit like sculpture. Like you're looking for a shape and you're looking for fun, interesting shapes and different shapes and a shape that fits, say, a personality. Because often when I'm approaching the character design, we sort of have an idea of the character. The Bandits, it was like kids. Tane's a little Māori boy. Riley's his mate. Fridge is the fat friend, chubby little friend. So you have a little bit of an idea. So within those boundaries, you can kind of explore different shapes, head shapes, body shapes, clothing.
How many iterations do you go through before you get to the one?
I mean, it can vary. I know on Bandits, when I was designing on Barefoot Bandits, that was before I had an iPad. So it was just, I got stacks of paper still like in a tub somewhere at the studio that sort of, for the archives. And some of those designs, I know Fridge came very quickly. But Tane took a while, and there's pages and pages of me trying to like land on something that was appealing and, looked like a little bit of a confident little kid that could lead a gang of, Barefoot Bandits.
Yeah.
It varies, Yeah.
And your animation is quite stylized as well, right? So how long does it take for a newbie to fall in line with the style?
I guess it would depend on someone's experience.
Yeah.
Do you mean sort of newbie to like a recent graduate that kind of
recent graduate.
I think it wouldn't take long because of sort of our rigs, and I guess rigs in 2D rigs in general, they sort of, they're all sort of built up in a similar way.
Yeah.
The arms and legs are where they are. They're on, whether it's Animate and they're on the same layers as they usually all are, or in Toon Boom where they're, all in the same nodes and connected in the same way. I don't think it would take too long. I guess, there's other variables like, what type of character it is. Is it a anthropomorphic bird, or is it a realistic bird? So there's sort of those variables in there, but it wouldn't take too long, I don't think. And, if you're a newbie at the studio, there's always experience around you to lean on and ask for tips and tricks and stuff too. So, yeah.
I did really wonder if you all sort of, sort of synced up like women on their periods, like because I noticed some things like in Too Mickey Space there's some eyebrow raising which really reminds me of your staff member who's a good friend of mine, and I just wonder if you guys all sort of get together and start to emulate each other.
I think what happens is some of the more veteran animators like Chris probably finish a little sooner, and there's work for other animators to look at and sort of compare and get and see how other people are, because we always say to when you get your scenes, talk to your scene partners, like if these scenes are going to link up, or if it's as basic as where characters are standing, but also what the attitude of of certain characters and how to animate our eyebrows and things like that. I think it's sort of there is sort of maybe some synchronicity and syncing up.
Yeah. Now, I saw that your behind-the-scenes videos on YouTube of Badjelly, you had an orchestra for Badjelly.
Yeah.
Now, how does a little New Zealand production get the money to have more than just one guy in a booth playing multiple instruments by himself?
Well, that's how we initially thought it was going to go down, right? Like we even had sort of a friend of ours, a composer, sort of lined up. Because it was a co-production, there was all this it was so new to us and how it all worked, and there's so much money that had to be sort of split out over various territories. It was a 3-way co-production between the UK, us and Canada, with all the creative sort of driven from us in New Zealand. And when we learnt that, so I think it was like 10% of the spend had to be spent in the UK, and that covered thankfully our ability to access British voice talent, but also had to include the composer. Right. So we had to find a British composer. So we're like, okay, well we don't know anyone, and then we sort of put it out to a few people via again our UK producer who had some connections, and Guy Mitchell Moore came in into our vicinity, and Tim was. Like, I know Guy. I follow his YouTube channel. Like, he does all these sort of like how I compose YouTube tutorial things. That Tim, because he's sort of loves music, writes music, and what have you. He'd been following his work for years. It was like, it'd be awesome if we could work with him. And so Guy, with the money that was being allocated to composing the music, he was like, I think I might be able to hook up an orchestra. Like, initially he was like talking about recording at Abbey Road and shit, and we were like, what? How is this our life? that didn't happen, but he did get to record at Mark Knopfler's studio, who's he's like the boomer dads will be impressed by that factoid. He's a vocalist from Dire Straits,
Right. Yeah.
and we had no idea that was going to be part of the process, but as he was sending us video footage of he did it. So he wrote all the music at home, and then went to the studio, hired musicians and had them all play the stuff live, and then he was recording it, and then he could take themes and bits and piece it together as he was making the music for the show. It was so awesome. We were because again we're just being real cinephiles, and we love Spielberg movies from the 80s and what have you. He said to us, what vibe do you want? We were like, John Williams, please. And he was like, okay, I can do that. And as he was sending it in, we were like, wow, this is next level. Like,
So cool.
it's he nailed it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And then for your general, productions, your TV shows, who are you normally going to? Do you have the same sound engineer that you always go to, or do you change it up?
Yeah, well, we use in the early days we used Images and Sound a lot. I think they're still in Grafton, but we I can't remember what project it was, but we use Envy, who were Auckland Audio. I think that was their old name, but Envy, Vedat and Morton and Rachel over there. They're awesome. We've you mentioned Tumeki Space. We had a friend, Mike Newport. He created all that music for us originally. But when it comes to the music for all of our smaller shows, the Night Eyes, Jandal Burns, we use beatbox production music, and then send it off to Sound Mix and engineer with Envy.
Yeah, and do you have any sound booth in your own studio?
Yeah. Thankfully,
You have to do a lot of reads for animatics and things, right?
Yes. So in the early days, we were going up to Images and Sound and hiring their voice booth, and that was kind of pricey for a small studio. So it was sort of important to us over the years. Like, we slowly chipped away at getting like a good mic and some soundproofing stuff, and moving into the space we were in previous to where we are now. We were able to have a room that we foamed out and got a really good mic and a sound cone thing. And that gives us the ability to not only be flexible with actors to come up to the studio to record with us, but also have us jump in and do scratch track temporary stuff. Or Ryan does a lot of voice work for us, so he can just jump in the booth and do his thing. And it's super important that we have that in the studio.
Is that sort of how your podcast situation came about?
I guess in a way, they weren't really using our that sound equipment much, but I guess just us having that in the studio, like the audio equipment, like kind of maybe sparked them the idea of
The staff,
the staff. They Josh and Simon came to us and were like, we've got an idea for a podcast. Can we do it out of one of the spare rooms? We were like, hell yeah, that's awesome. So Josh had, I think he'd sort of then went about and got some mics and some sort of portable equipment and what have you.
That's
and
very cool.
Yeah, it was exciting.
And then what about music in the office? What are your thoughts? People love it or hate it?
Yeah, it's funny. I think back to because there was that discussion when we grew from the 3 of us to 16 that made Bandits. We had that discussion, like, do they play? What happens when you have a team in a room and they make, like, do you have music playing down and then they can have the access to their own headphones if they want to block it out or whatever? And quickly we learned that, don't worry about music in the room. Like, everyone will, either listen to their own stuff or whatever. We haven't had anyone. It seems like quite obnoxious to bring your own Bluetooth speaker in and just crank your own sounds. So everyone just kind of has headphones and listens to their own stuff.
Yeah.
And
See, I just hate the dead quiet. So as a manager, you have to go around and talk to people.
Yeah.
And it feels awkward when you're the only one in the room talking and everything's dead silent. So I really like that background noise.
It is, yes.
It's like, as long as it's not like, loud enough for you to be cheer dancing. As long as it's just a little bit of background noise, it makes me feel less, awkward.
Do you know what? I know exactly what you mean, because it's like you get really self-conscious, like, oh my God, like you're trying to have and then it's like, is this a personal conversation? Everyone can hear it now.
Yeah.
But generally, again, the animators have their own headphones in, or they're just deep in their work. But also, there's a lot of chatter about the latest Star Wars thing, Marvel thing, whatever, has hit the internet, what trailers come on, So there is always a little bit of, background noise going on at work.
What about your biggest pet peeve in the office?
Ooh, okay. Biggest pet peeve is probably people loading the dishwasher incorrectly. And people then not emptying the dishwasher when they're the one in the kitchen. Yeah. I would say it's been interesting. Again, like when you expand to that bigger crew, you kind of, and a lot of them are sort of maybe, in their 20s, early 20s. And you kind of like, you get, particularly around the kitchen etiquette, you're like, oh, okay. Come on, guys, this isn't a flat. Like, help out, pitch in. There's that type of thing, which kind of I hadn't anticipated, but is kind of always coming back around.
I think, in studios.
Yes. Yeah. But there's not too many pet peeves, to be honest. No, it's all, everyone does pitch in eventually.
And how much does a workstation cost these days?
Oh God, you would have to ask our IT guy, to be honest. He's been really good at like building computers for us and PCs over the years.
So you don't outsource any IT?
No, we've had our own guy since so I guess it was 2018 when we started on Quimbo's Quest, where we sort of first grew from after Bandits, and we had just a mate helping with that stuff, set up the studio, set up the computers. He was just sort of, helping us out for next to nothing. But then when Quimbo's Quest came along, we had to expand from the 16 to like 53 or something. Damn, and we needed to make like this enormous show in like a year because we just said, yes, we can do it. Yeah. But there was a space next door that was empty, and we were like, damn, let's ask if we can move in there. Same landlord, so we moved over. But a friend of the guy who was helping us out with IT previously was a proper IT guy. He came in sort of full time. The budget of that show allowed us to hire him. Yeah. And he's been with us since. And he just kind of sources all that stuff and helps us out. Cool. Yeah. It's a bit up and down, I think, but he's very good at building equipment and outside of the Wacomms and all that stuff of it all.
I read a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins, and he talks about how to create great companies. And he uses this bus analogy where he's like, you want to get all the right people onto the bus and get them into all the right seats before you even think about the direction the bus is going in. So he's talking about making the right hires and making sure that those people are doing the job they're actually good at. But he doesn't talk about what happens if the wrong person is on the bus. And have you ever had to get anyone off the bus, or maybe change that person's seat on the bus? Or
there's been a couple of times. It's not many in the particularly in the last sort of 8-9 years since that growth from Quimbo's Quest when we really expanded. There's been a couple of times where there was sort of people just because at that stage hiring that amount of people, we hired all the sort of veterans we could because we needed, experienced heads in the room who were out of work and needed work. So we, swept them up. But also there was a lot of new recent grads and people that hadn't worked in the industry before. So there was varying skill set in the room. And we knew from our experience a few years prior on the Barefoot Bandits that allowing everyone to sort of communicate and not having cubicles and a very open plan, allowing that space for open communication. People will learn lots and ask questions and not be afraid to, say when they're, drifting away a little bit or things are getting on top of them. But that didn't always work out for everyone. Like there was just a couple of people along the way where we kind of had to have the tough talk of like, it's not quite clicking. We've done all we can. Maybe we need to let you go. And it's honestly 2 or 3 times. thankfully it hasn't happened a lot.
Yeah.
And, but we're very generous, and I think over the years, and with those sort of people as well, we gave them a lot of time and effort to try and, but it was just down to sort of, sometimes, I mean, those projects were in Adobe Animate in Flash, and that software can be very fickle and buggy and annoying, and so sometimes it's just they don't gel with the, can't wrap their head around it, and and most of those instances, they agreed, and kind of like, I've just been kind of hanging in there, like I didn't know how to say, it was just finally sort of, having that honest conversation, and they were kind of like, I think, I should move on.
And do you three do that together, or is one person delegated for the hard conversation?
It depends on the personality. Like,
Right.
I think Tim handled a bunch of them over the years, but there has been instances where we've sat down. There was sort of some bad behaviour from a crew member where we had to, all three of us, for the first time, go, this is not cool. Bullying is not permitted, and sort yourself out. You're on a warning type situation. So the three of us kind of came at that together as a united front, because we just didn't like that was happening within the walls. But it sort of varies. Yeah.
What about remote work? Is anyone working remote?
Yeah, we've got a few. I mean, our sort of working environment prior to COVID was quite flexible. Because everyone's got such a varied home life and personal life, there was, people with kids and, people that were commuting, from far away. We were kind of like, as long as the work was getting done, you can sort of come and go a little bit as you please. But COVID hit. Everyone went remote. In that period when we were actually, Tumeki Space was made entirely in lockdown. And since then, we had sort of some crew members we wanted to keep on the crew. They were invaluable. They couldn't buy a house in Auckland. They moved to Christchurch. And we were like, well, if you're keen to keep working for us, we're totally okay with, so that happened with a few other crew members as well. So, we've got a few remoties. Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast with Dick Frizzell the other day,
cool.
and he works from home and he has a studio at home.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that he's in the studio 9 to 5 every day. Because if you're not, then you're not working out problems. He's like, I don't have time for, messing around and saying I can't do something, or I've, got a creative block or whatever. You just have to be in there and you have to be working it out and doing it. And I've actually had a few other guests actually say the same thing about going to work every day means that you have to, overcome things and stuff. You can't just be like, I'm just going to watch a movie for 2 hours and not think about it. So do you have any sort of tips on, your day-to-day productivity?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of unique to me and to us as a team. Like, there's been moments over the years where I've had to sort of check my workaholic tendencies because those can interfere with personal life and other relationships.
Most founders of companies have workaholic tendencies.
Yeah, and it's, it was modeled to being by my dad. He very much was like that. So it's... but it also, we were all very passionate about the art form and what we wanted to do, and this is our vision, and how do you turn it off, and it's, but as we've expanded and got bigger and sort of found the fun and the love in delegating and trusting your team members, and you can kind of let go of that little bit of like control or those tendencies can, it's. I mean, it can be a tricky thing. I mean, we're always busy, so there's always something to do. Like whether it's sort of an idea for a pitch over here that needs a few drawings, or just to get something down on paper, or we've got a service gig that I got to help with designs on over here. There is always something. I think the trick for me is finding the time where I don't have to be doing all that, when I'm at home and resting, don't think about work. Like, you need that time off.
Yeah.
So that's been my challenge mostly is finding the fun and relaxing my brain, because it's always looking for stuff to do, and that artist guilt, that shit thing that kind of can come in when you're away from the drawing board. Like you could be doing something productive.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. And do you have any big projects coming up that you're allowed to talk about?
Yeah. Well, we're really Night Eyes Season 2 is about to sort of go out onto TVNZ in October, Halloween launch.
Cool.
Which is exciting. We're really working hard to get more Badjelly made. We'd love to do a season 2. We're floating a film idea around, because the film commission are kind of talking more confidently about supporting the animation industry. So that will be really cool to see where that goes. We have secured the rights to Footrot Flats.
Oh my God! Wow.
Which is a bit of a coup, and we've been working with Murray Bull's son Gareth, and so we would look to expand that into a show, a series.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, right. Like, and there's a deal we're kind of inking currently with Beano Comics in the UK.
Okay.
To do a Banana Man series.
Banana Man.
Yeah. So
is that something I don't know about? Is that unique?
It's how old are you?
38.
Okay, so in the 80s, how old am I? 45. In the 80s, I'm what now? There was a cartoon, Banana Man.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, little kid eats a banana, turns into a superhero banana. It's very silly, very English.
Yeah.
And we just, on the back of Badjelly, we were like, what are other property, we worked so long on making our own stuff. It's like, well, if we can have a little stream of the company that's like pursuing adapting things that aren't getting thought about much these days. And randomly, that was one of them. We knew someone contacted in the UK was like, we got in touch with her and said, is there a way to talk to the Beano Comics guys? And she was like, oh yeah, I'm going to a party tonight. They're going to be there. I'll talk about you guys. And again, she loved what we had done on Badjelly, so she kind of vouched for us. And we're just being, so that's kind of in the mix. We were always coming up with new ideas and new pitches. We want to pitch some new stuff to this. We haven't reapproached the streamers in the States in recent years, because everything kind of got messy with Netflix and that, I sort of mentioned it earlier, the bubble bursting on all the money they were spending, and post-COVID, it's been very tricky in America to get particularly kids content and animation made. A lot of the stuff we're seeing now was like greenlit prior to the pandemic. That's how long, it takes to make an Arcane or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're sort of brainstorming and coming up with ideas to perhaps pitch to some of the American streamers, and I think the way forward is, again using that model of the co-production aspect of Badjelly, and perhaps making something with Aussie.
Yeah.
They've got a really strong industry over there, and if we can both come at our funding bodies and get a chunk of money each and then make something together, I think that makes kind of sense to access that, because so much of the screen industry internationally are all about treaties and co-productions and stuff. So we'll see. But cool. There's lots of irons in the fire.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
So, well, Alex, what's the last question? What is the best part of your job?
I would say the best part of my job is it's a bit corny, bit cheesy. I'm working with my best friends and working, so my best friends, in a sense, they're basically my family now. We're brothers. We make all this really fun stuff together, and then creating a really fun environment for everyone else to kind of be themselves and express themselves, and make some really fun stuff together. So it's kind of that mahi of
How many years has it been now?
24. I think we're in our
amazing.
24th. Yeah, since
amazing.
We started when we were 21. So
24 years of just making content you like.
Yeah, it's
cool.
wild. It's absolutely wild when I think back on the run we've had of like, we've been very lucky. And it's all on our YouTube channel if you want to go check it out. But yeah, no, we've loved what we've been able to make, and yeah, there's lots more in us still. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Alex, thank you so much for coming in today. I've really enjoyed
thanks,
our
Susan.
chat.
No, it's been great. Yeah, this has been really fun.
Thanks so much.